Hi, hello, everybody, and a very happy Thanksgiving to you. And hope you're enjoying yourself with your family, your friends. We here at Running On Scuffs are going to continue our off-season review. I'm Logan Morris, bringing you today. Going to bring you Hendrick Motorsports on this quote-unquote Black Friday. Again, hope you enjoyed yourself. We are going to start with the main man as we get into Hendrick Motorsports review. We're going to start with the quote-unquote face that runs the place. That would be one William Clutch Clyde Chase Elliott. He had 5 wins this season. Nothing wrong with that by any stretch of the imagination. Had one at Denver, got one at Nashville, got one at Atlanta, got one at the Pocono, that tricky triangle, got one at the Glen, and got one at Dega. You talk about winning in any track possible. That what I just listed off is pretty much doing it. As far as low lights goes for the one and only Chase Elliott, frankly, let's be honest, the playoffs left a lot to be desired. If it wasn't for that very consistent, borderline dominating regular season, you can make a great argument he doesn't make the Final Four. Those playoff points really bailed him out. He did make the championship four, which is always an accomplishment. It's kind of like getting to the Super Bowl. Even if you don't win it, it's saying something that you got there. But the playoffs left a lot to be desired besides that Talladega race. I mean, he came back at the Roval, a place he has dominated and finished 20th. Las Vegas 21st, Homestead 14th, Martinsville top 10, and then Phoenix just didn't go well at all, finishing 28th. Texas, he was 32nd. I mean, it just Darlington 36th. Once the playoffs hit, something changed for that number 9 team. As far as we know, no major changes in 2023. But yeah, just didn't have the same consistency, the same clutch performances that we've kind of come used to it. Again, had a great regular season, got to the Final Four, nothing to be ashamed of. Most of the field would certainly bargain for that season, but definitely kind of limped into 2023, did Chase Elliott. Next, let's look at William Byron, driver that 24. I still think Jeff Gordon after all these years when I think the 24, but all kidding aside, Byron is forming a pretty respectable legacy unit all his own. Got that win at Atlanta, got that win at Martinsville. That's a big 2. Got the pole at that last Homestead race in October. A pretty consistent season. Had 11 top 10s, 5 top 5s. Your average finish was 15.6, nothing wrong with there. Average start, 12.5. Nothing wrong with any of that. Your low lights probably just kind of being the forgotten man at Hendrick Motorsport this year. Places that, he wants to take that next step and run into that elite level. And he's almost there, but not quite. We still kind of think of the other 3 first. And that's a kind of a problem if you were William Byron. You want to again kind of forge your own legacy. You'd like to see that quote unquote 24 car get that 5th championship, as we know the great Jeff Gordon has 4. But low lights of the season, just again kind of not, he just being a little bit too quiet really. That last Martinsville race didn't, top 10, Phoenix a top 10, Homestead 12th. He was just consistent, but consistent enough to just be kind of there. He didn't have too many of those big moments, only those 2 wins. And Bristol Dirt 18th, Talladega 15th, Dover 22nd, Darlington 13th, Kansas 16th, Charlotte, the Coke 600 didn't go well at 32nd, Gateway 19th, Sonoma a top 10. Again, none of these numbers are, there's no big stretch of, just atrocious numbers. But it just, when you had other guys coming through in the clutch, being consistent in this format is not what it used to be, because this is a winning you're in format and it's driven by wins. So for William Byron, I think the big goal for him in 2023 is is try to have more of those moments, more of those wins. Really, really compete with your Kyle Larson and your Chase Elliott, and to a lesser extent Alex Bowman, and really, really join those other three. I'm of the opinion this is the best Hendrick lineup of all time. Yes, I said it. I know that includes Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, but those other two usually aren't as consistent as those two legends and Hall of Famers and champions. But when it comes to top to bottom, I don't think it gets much better than what Mr. H has right now. Next, let's talk Alex Bowman. He did have the one win, which has got to be the highlight of the year at the first Vegas race. That Bright Light City did save his soul and set it on fire for the first race. Unfortunately, the low light is pretty obvious. Got that concussion and was, missed several races. But was able to come back at Phoenix and have one more race with Greg Ives, who is retiring and stepping down from the pit box of the 48. Blake Harris is going to take over. He's coming over from front row. Guided Michael McDowell to a fantastic season this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But yeah, I had that concussion, and so that's definitely your low light. Although his Twitter feed during the second Martinsville race was something, was a highlight to watch. He was working on those Martinsville hot dogs. So I had the one win, and again, sort of like William Byron, just kind of consistent. At Coda, he finishes second. Richmond, he's 8th. Martinsville, he's 12th. Bristol Dirt, 6th. A top 10 at Dega. Dover, a top 5. Darlington doesn't go very well for him, 29th, but right back at top 10 at Kansas and Charlotte, top 15 at Gateway. Just consistent numbers. The only dip that you can really see is that, that second Atlanta and then Loudon, that's 32nd, 35 back to back. And then the Indy Road Course 32nd. So kind of that stretch in the late summer wasn't great, if we're really nitpicking, but still a very solid season. You get a win. You got 4 top 5s, 12 top 10s. And this all has to be considered under the fact that he missed several races with that concussion. And so it's a lot to think about, a lot to be desired, and just all of those things. And it is what it is. But with Alex Bowman, it's going to be interesting to see, can he forge his own legacy? He, like William Byron, is in the thick of, you're in the shadow of a champion in Jimmy Johnson. I know that, yes, Jimmy Johnson coming back to race part-time for Petty GMS, but when we think Hendrick and we think the 48, we are always going to think Jimmy Johnson. And so can you forge your own legacy? Can you get a championship? Can you make a certain generation, and I mean the upcoming generation, not think about Jimmy Johnson or Jeff Gordon? That's kind of the goal. It's hard following legends, people. It is hard. It is very difficult. I mean, because when you think Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, they are both in the very minuscule list of greatest drivers of all time in terms of, if you want to have that GOAT debate, they're in it. But it's going to be interesting to see if Blake Harris and Bowman can replicate the chemistry that he and Greg Ives had. Great moment, underrated moment, that Alex Bowman was able to come back and race Greg Ives' final race atop the box at Phoenix. May not meant much in terms of standings, but it's nice to go out together, and most importantly, frankly, it was great that Bowman got healthy. We know that the injuries were a big factor this year, more than any season in recent memory in NASCAR history. So great that Alex Bowman can come back there. But really, that kind of does it for your Hendrick Motorsports review. You're looking at those 4 teams. If you want to call this a down year for Hendrick because they didn't win the championship and only had one driver go to the Final Four, boy, that's a down year a lot of teams would take, huh? They, of course, come off back-to-back championships in 20 and 21, not able to pull it off in 22, but again, Chase still goes to the Final Four. It's going to be interesting to see if Hendrick can kind of, for lack of a better term, bounce back. They just weren't quite as consistently dominating as they had been in recent years. We've seen them go through those lulls before, and then a season or two goes by, and then somebody awakens the dragon that is Hendrick Motorsports. So I wouldn't count on that being the case very long if this is a quote-unquote down year for you college football fans. It's kind of like Alabama, right? Even Alabama on a down year is still Alabama. So it's just one of those things that even though they weren't quite as consistent, quite as dominating, quite as headline, they were still very, very good. And most teams in the garage would have, given their left leg to have that kind of season. But let me wrap it up and bring it to a close. Again, I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving on this Black Friday. Hope you're enjoying yourself and enjoying all the leftovers and getting ready for some football tomorrow. I know that our team will be dialed in. Everybody, whether you're a fan or not of either team, and I'm not, but I mean, everyone's going to watch Ohio State, Michigan, right? So just hang in there, enjoy the holiday, enjoy the time with your family. And you know what? As soon as this upcoming winter starts to get at its coldest in late December and January, next thing you know, January starts to give way to a month called February. And as sure as God made green apples, it'll be time for NASCAR season again as we get ready for the Clash. And, of course, the beloved Daytona 500. I mean, look at the smile that comes over my face just thinking about it. Hope you're well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying the Running on Scuffs off-season content. Don't miss our next big live show, the Scuffies. More information on that coming real soon. You might want to stay tuned. I can promise you it's going to be a fun one. With that, be well. Take care. I'm out of here.